Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to, really get under the skin of an incredibly significant site, the Sri Parthasarathi Temple.
Mhm.
It's this amazing blend of theology, history, culture, all packed into one place in South India. We're not just giving you a timeline. We're aiming to synthesize, centuries of information
Right.
from inscriptions, rituals, Puranic stories. It's all there right in Chennai.
And it's crucial, especially for you, the learner, whether you're looking at cultural heritage professionally or maybe theological studies. This temple is, well, it's paramount
Why Paramount specifically?
because it's not just one static monument. Think of it as a living library, a dynamic archive, really, of Vaishnavism. And the first thing that jumps out is its status. It's one of the 108 Divya Deisms.
A Param Pavitra Kshetra.
Exactly. Praised by the Alvars, the poet saints. But here's the twist. This ancient sacred space, it's smack bang in the middle of the modern Chennai Mahanagar.
That juxtaposition is fascinating in itself.
It really is a study in contrasts.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How can one single place hold so much? The mythology of Vishnu, the political saga of South India, the core philosophy of a major religious school.
Yeah.
We're going to use the source material to sort of dissect its beginnings, look at the really unique aspects of its main deity, which are quite surprising, and explore the rituals that keep it so vibrant today. Okay, so let's start with the basics. The geography, the history, people know the area now, but the old name, Thiruvalakini, that tells a story, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It tells you about the feeling of the place when it began.
Ah,
Thiruvalakini, if you break it down.
yeah.
And this is pretty important for understanding its appeal. Thiru,
Meaning sacred or glorious.
right, respect, glory, auspiciousness, all that. And Kenieti, that usually points to flowers, fruits, maybe a pond or a garden with lots of plants.
Ah, so the glorious pond or grove of flowers, something like that.
Precisely. It paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A sacred oasis, lush and peaceful. Very different from, say, a purely urban setting initially.
So it was conceived as this special verdant spot for worship. That image alone sets a certain tone.
It does, and that descriptive spiritual name stuck around for a long time, until a major political shift. The sources mention how Thiruvalakeni became Triplicane.
Which happened during the British era, right, and Anglicization.
Exactly. Much easier for colonial administrators to write down on maps.
And that name change, Thiruvalakeni to Triplicane, it's more than just a linguistic curiosity. It marks a real historical shift.
It signals moving from an identity defined locally, spiritually, descriptively.
To one imposed from outside for administrative convenience.
That's it. Replacing the deep Sanskrit and Tamil roots with a phonetic approximation, it instantly anchors the modern urban geography in that colonial period. A reminder that every layer of history is there.
Okay, so we have the sense of place. Let's anchor its age. Who actually built the first structures? And who kept it going?
We're going back quite a way here, deep into the Pallava dynasty's history. The sources point to Rajatan Daiman, a Pallava king, for the original construction.
So centuries old, definitely one of the older established religious sites there.
Oh, yes. But these places, they evolve. They're not just spiritual centers, they're political statements too, in a way. Succeeding empires often want to patronize them, add their mark.
Did the Pallava influence fade then?
Not at all. That's what's interesting, the continuity. After the Pallavas, the sources highlight significant expansion, ongoing support from the later very powerful Vijayanagar emperors, the Chakravartis.
Right, the Vijayanagar Empire controlled huge areas.
Exactly. So the fact that they invested heavily here, maintained it. That tells you this wasn't just some minor local shrine. It was seen as a key imperial site with considerable resources, even as dynasties changed.
That covers the structure, the patrons. What about the spiritual core, the main idol itself, the Moolavar? Is there a story behind its installation?
Yes, and it's quite significant. The foundational legend doesn't attribute the installation to a king, but to a spiritual authority, Maharishi Maitreya.
A sage, not a ruler.
Correct. This is a common pattern for deeply sacred sites. Rooting the idol's presence in the act of a revered sage gives it a spiritual weight that goes beyond royal power. It suggests divine wisdom, not just imperial decision, place the deity there.
Which leads us nicely to its ultimate theological seal of approval being a Divya Desam. For anyone maybe not familiar with that term, what does being one of the 108 Divya Desams really signify?
It's a certification of supreme sanctity in Vaishnavism. These 108 sites are the holiest abodes of Vishnu, specifically places sung about, praised in the ancient hymns of the Alvars, the Tamil poet saints.
So for a devotee, it's instantly recognizable as top-tier sacred.
Absolutely. Undisputed sanctity.
And this isn't just based on hymns, there's scriptural backing, too.
Yes, and this is important for academic study. The temple gets a specific mention in the Brahmanda Purana.
Which is one of the major Puranas, a foundational text across India.
Exactly, not just a local text. So having that reference in the Brahmanda Purana gives its sanctity and its stories enormous scriptural weight. It confirms its place in the wider Hindu narrative, institutionally recognized for, well, millennia.
Okay, so we've got this rich history, this certified sanctity. Let's focus on the name the temple is known by today, Parthasarathi. It points directly to the Mahabharata, doesn't it?
Instantly, it's a direct narrative link. Parthasarathi literally means Parthasarathi.
Partha being Arjuna.
Correct. And Sarathi, the charioteer. So that the entire identity of the main deity here is captured in that very specific, incredibly famous role from the epic.
And theologically, we're talking about Sri Krishna, an avatar of Vishnu, of course, but specifically in this role as strategist, guide. Vishnu engaged very directly in human affairs.
Yes, very engaged. And that engagement leads us to something truly unique about this temple, theologically speaking. It all hinges on that critical moment in the Kurukshetra War, Krishna acting as Arjuna's charioteer.
The sources make a big point about a vow Krishna took during that war, a vow that's actually physically represented in this temple's idol, which is, well, pretty unique globally. What was the vow?
It's crucial. It stems from Krishna's own decision, his sankalpa, about how he would participate. He specifically vowed not to take up weapons, astra-shastra, in the battle.
Why? What was the thinking there?
He chose the role of the divine guide, the strategist, the moral compass. He was there to ensure Arjuna fulfilled his dharma, to deliver the wisdom of the Gita, but not to be an active combatant himself. He wanted to be the driving force, literally and figuratively, but not the one wielding the weapons.
That's a massive philosophical statement right there. Shifting divine intervention from brute force to guidance, wisdom, moral clarity.
It's incredibly profound. It elevates counsel and strategy over sheer might. He's ensuring cosmic balance, yes, but not by personally wading into the slaughter. And this is where the actual idol, the Moolavar of Sri Parthasarathi, becomes so visually arresting for a visitor.
Tell us about that physical representation. This is the detail that really makes you pause.
It is arguably the most striking feature. The main idol, Parthasarathi, is shown with a scar, a wound mark, specifically described as an injury from an arrow.
An arrow wound from Krishna.
Yes. The source is connected directly to the battlefield. Even though he vowed not to fight, he was still in the thick of it, guiding Arjuna, and inevitably became a target. The tradition says this injury happened when he shielded Arjuna.
Wow, so the deity is depicted as wounded. That's quite something. It brings the harsh reality of the war, the sacrifice involved, right onto the divine form.
Exactly. This detail makes the Parthasarathi idol here utterly distinct from most other depictions of Krishna. It grounds the divine story in tangible, even painful human experience. And crucially, it embodies his adherence to that vow. The scar is like this permanent, visible reminder of his presence, his vulnerability despite his divinity, and his absolute commitment to that principle of non-combat.
For a devotee, that must create an incredibly immediate, almost visceral connection.
It really does. It connects him straight back to that pivotal moment in the epic and its philosophical weight.
Just that detail alone makes this temple a must-study for comparative theology. Now, moving slightly beyond Parthasarathi himself, the sources say this temple also presents a kind of family portrait.
Yes, it's not just the usual deity consort setup, although Parthasarathi is worshipped alongside his main consort, Rukmini Devi.
Okay.
But what's unusual is the inclusion of several other figures directly related to Krishna. It creates this, well, this whole family narrative within the temple complex, that sort of divine family gathering.
Really? Who else is represented there?
You have shrines or representations of key family members, Balarama, Krishna's elder brother,
Right.
then Pradyumna, his son, and Aniruddha, his grandson, and also Satyaki, who was a close relative and a major warrior on the Pandava side.
So a visitor isn't just meeting Krishna the charioteer, they're seeing him in the context of his entire lineage, his relationships.
It's a complete picture. It shows Krishna not only as the divine strategist, but also as a central figure within a powerful, complex family structure. Architecturally, this choice really emphasizes the human relatable aspects of the Krishna avatar. It reminds you that divinity operates within family and community too. It's quite rare to see it laid out like this, and it underscores the richness of the Lila, the divine play associated with Krishna.
Okay, this next point feels like the temple's biggest offering for scholars, for understanding the sheer breadth of Vaishnavism. The sources talk about a synthesis of 5 distinct Vishnu avatars all in one place. That's highly unusual, isn't it?
Extremely unusual. It essentially makes the temple a condensed hub for worshiping the Pancha Avatara, 5 major incarnations of Vishnu. Think about the practical aspect for a moment.
Okay.
For pilgrims, centuries ago, or even scholars today, it meant you could connect with diverse aspects of Vishnu's divine energy, different mythological eras, the whole sweep of Vaishnavite thought, really, without having to travel to 5 separate distant temples. It's like a theological and spiritual shortcut.
A greatest hits collection, almost. So let's name them. Which 5 forms are enshrined here?
It's important to grasp the significance of each one being present.
Absolutely. So the 5 distinct shrines you'll find are, first, obviously, Sri Parthasarathi Krishna as the charioteer, the guide, the philosopher of the Gita.
Right.
Second, Ramachandra. Rama, the ideal king, embodiment of Dharma, righteous rule, from a different epic, a different yuga.
Okay, Rama.
Third, Ganga Narasimhaswamy. That's Narasimha, the man-lion avatar, representing fierce, immediate divine protection against evil. Very powerful imagery.
Narasimha, yes.
Fourth, Ranganaswamy. This is Vishnu in his reclining form, resting on the cosmic serpent Anantashesha, symbolizing creation, cosmic cycles, rest. Hugely important in the South, especially associated with Srirangam.
Raghunatha. And the 5th.
Fifth is Gajendra Virajaswamy. Vishnu as the bestower of boons, the savior figure, specifically linked to the famous story of rescuing Gajendra the elephant, emphasizing salvation, mercy, grace. Wow. If you look at that list, Parthasarathi, strategy philosophy, Rama, governance dharma, Narasimha, protection, Ranganatha, creation cosmic order, Vardharaja, salvation grace. It's like a complete curriculum of Vishnu's main roles.
It absolutely is. It
Yeah.
feels deliberately curated. Having Rama and Narasimha right there next to Krishna allows a devotee to shift their focus, their prayers, across different divine moods and functions, from epic heroism to instant protection, all within the same complex. It really shows the founder's intent to create an integrated theological experience.
You mentioned Ranganatha Swami, obviously a major form. The sources hint at a specific local story connected to his shrine here in Thiruvallikini.
Yes, that's right. Well, Raghunatha Swami is worshipped widely. The local tradition here adds another layer. There's a specific legend that Mahalakshmi Devi herself, along with the daughter of a Maharshi, actually married Ranganatha Swami right here within this temple complex.
That's fascinating. It takes this cosmic deity and anchors him with a very specific local matrimonial event, adds another layer of sanctity to the ground itself.
It's how these sites weave together the grand narratives with local memory. It blends the universal Puranic story of Ranganatha with a specific, cherished local event, the marriage legend. It keeps the site feeling eternally active, not just historically significant. Proof that the divine play, the Leela, continues right here.
And this theme of 5, the Panchavatara, it's so central that it's even reflected in the temple's sacred water tank, the Pushkarani.
This is a really neat detail, kind of ties it all together. The temple tank, which is called Kairavini, it's not just a source of water for rituals.
It has its own sacred associations.
Exactly. And specifically, it's linked theologically to the number 5. It's believed to have been consecrated, or its sanctity is associated with 5 distinct celestial beings or divine principles.
5 again? Who are they?
The sources list Soma the moon, or the divine nectar, Meena, which refers to Matsya, the fish avatar of Vishnu, Agni, the fire god, Vishnu himself in a general sense, and Indra, the king of the gods.
So the water itself carries this 5-fold blessing, reflecting the 5 avatars enshrined in the temple.
Precisely. It shows this deep conceptual consistency across the entire site design. From the main shrines right down to the water used for purification, that theme of 5, representing the multifaceted nature of Vishnu, is woven in. It's very thorough architectural and theological planning.
Now, a temple with this much history, this much theological depth, must have a vibrant ritual life to sustain it. What's the main event of the year? The big festival.
The absolute highlight is the Brahmotsavam. It usually happens in the Tamil month of Chitrai, which lines up with April. This is a major multi-day festival, the peak of the temple's year, Lots of elaborate processions, huge crowds.
Okay, Brahmotsavam in April. But it's not just a celebration, is it? The sources connect its specific traditions here to a very important philosophical figure.
Yes, very strongly. The Brahmotsavam here is conducted with great care and adherence to the traditions established by Ramanujacharya.
Ramanujacharya, the great philosopher of Vishishtadvaita.
The very same, the founder of the Vishishtadvaita school, or qualified non-dualism.
Let's pause on that for our listeners navigating these philosophies. How does Vishishtadvaita, qualified non-dualism, actually shape the rituals during the Brahmotsavam at Parthasarathi temple? What does it look like in practice?
Well, Vishishtadvaita holds that while individual souls and the material world are distinct from God, Brahman Vishnu, they aren't separate. They exist within God as his attributes or his body, in a way. They're inseparable, but not identical.
Okay.
So in ritual terms, this means the seva, the service, the devotion shown during Brahmotsavam has to follow a very specific liturgical pathway, the Sampradaya. It emphasizes deep devotion, surrender to a personal Supreme Lord. The rituals are designed to reinforce that personal relationship between the devotee and Vishnu, who possesses all these auspicious qualities, just as Ramanuja taught.
So the way the processions are done, the specific chants used, the decorations, it's all following a philosophical blueprint. The festival becomes a living demonstration of Vishishtadvaita.
Exactly. The logistics are incredibly detailed. During Brahmotsavam, the processional deity, the Utsavar, is taken out on different vahanams or vehicles. Garuda the eagle, a Dasesha the serpent, a horse, and so on. Each vahanam signifies different aspects of Vishnu's power and glory. These aren't just parades, they are carefully choreographed ritual journeys, meant to display the Lord's majesty and make him accessible to everyone, all following the sampradaya passed down through Ramanuja's lineage.
Fascinating. Okay, moving from the spring festival, the winter months, December, January, are also highlighted as a special time. It's called Dhanurmasam.
Yes, Dhanurmasam. This is a period of really intensified devotion. It particularly draws many women devotees and also scholars who are interested in devotional literature, especially Tamil Vaishnava works. Daily worship becomes even more focused during this month.
What specific practices would you see during Dhanurmasam that set it apart?
You'd see more intensive daily puja, maybe some smaller daily processions like a Vasantotsavam. But the absolute cornerstone, the defining practice of Dhanurmasam, is the recitation, the Parayanam of a very special text, the Thirupavai.
Ah, the Thirupavai, the 30 verses by the great saint Andal. What's the feeling like when that's being recited daily?
It's really quite special. The Thirupavai is traditionally recited very early in the morning, often before dawn. It focuses on the gopis, the milkmaids of Vrindavan, and their pure, intense devotion to Krishna.
Right.
So during Dhanurmasam, reciting these 30 verses, one each day, becomes the central act of worship. It's done with immense reverence, often after the Suprabhatam, the morning awakening hymn sung for Parthasarathi. The whole soundscape of the temple kind of shifts during that month to be dominated by this collective chanting of Andal's poetry. It beautifully illustrates the power of bhakti, devotional love, and how literature shapes daily religious life. It's a wonderful complement to the philosophical depth shown during Brahmotsavam.
It really shows a rounded devotional approach. And what about the everyday prayers, the core chants that happen year-round?
Yes, the daily foundation. These confirm the temple's embrace of widely revered pan-Indian devotional texts. You'll hear the daily recitation of the Vishnu Saharanamam, the 1,000 names of Vishnu. That's fundamental across almost all Vaishnava traditions.
Standard practice. But the sources mention another key daily chant, which is interesting because of its strong association with another major temple, the Venkateswara Suprabhatam.
That's right. The Venkateswara Suprabhatam, traditionally linked most famously with the great temple of Lord Venkateswara at Tirupati,
Yes.
is recited here daily for Parthasarathi.
Okay, that raises a professional point maybe. For a temple like Parthasarathi, with such strong, unique local traditions as a Divya Dasam, does adopting the Tirupati Suprabhatam signal maybe a weakening of its own specific liturgical identity? Or is it more about confidently incorporating a powerful regional influence?
That's a great question. I'd strongly argue it's the latter, a sign of confident integration, not decline. It shows a syncretic strength.
How so?
Instead of seeing it as being overshadowed, it shows the temple is open to incorporating devotional practices that have gained immense spiritual currency and popularity across South India. The Venkateswara Suprabhatam is incredibly powerful and beloved. By using it for Parthasarathi, the temple acknowledges that wider spiritual wave while still maintaining its completely unique core identity. The Parthasarathi form, the scar, the 5 avatars. It actually broadens its appeal, welcoming devotees who resonate strongly with that Tirupati chant, and reinforcing its position as a major hub, embracing various streams of Vaishnavism.
A place that has guarded its history and theology so carefully for so long. It inevitably touches modern spiritual life, too. And there's a really significant connection mentioned in the sources, linking this ancient site to a major figure in modern Indian history.
Absolutely. The temple's enduring relevance really shines through its connection to Swami Vivekananda.
Vivekananda, founder of the Ramakrishna math, who took Hinduism to the world stage.
The very same. His connection solidifies the temple's spiritual power right into the modern era.
Now, Vivekananda is often associated with Vedanta, Advaita philosophy, perhaps a more formless idea of the divine. What does his connection to a place like Parthasarathi, which is so rich in specific forms, rituals, and avatar stories, tell us?
It tells us that the temple was recognized as a potent source of genuine spiritual energy and inspiration, even by someone with his philosophical leanings. Vivekananda was definitely a Hari Bhakta, a devotee of Vishnu. The sources explicitly state he visited the Parthasarathi temple several times. They even mention specific visits in November.
So what might he, a figure focused on universal Vedanta, have found or sought in this very particular, very traditional Divya Desam?
Well, Vivekananda, for all his emphasis on Advaita Vedanta, deeply understood the power of bhakti, of devotion. He knew the importance of personalized forms of the divine, like Krishna or Rama, in inspiring people and making the spiritual path accessible. His visits suggest that the depth here, the unique iconography like the scar, the Pancha-avatar synthesis, the philosophical roots in Ramanuja's thought, all of this held profound meaning and relevance, even for a modern reformer. It suggests he was perhaps drawing strength, drawing inspiration from these ancient living traditions before embarking on his mission to reinterpret and share Hinduism globally.
That's a really powerful image. This ancient temple acting as a kind of spiritual charging station for someone who would go on to have such a massive impact worldwide.
It truly connects the local sanctity, preserved for centuries, directly to a global spiritual renaissance. It shows the temple wasn't just a historical relic. It was seen as a place of authentic, living spiritual power, vital for the challenges and opportunities of the 19th and 20th centuries.
Okay, let's try to pull all these threads together now. If you had to synthesize it for someone studying theology or cultural heritage, what is the ultimate significance of the Sri Parthasarathi temple?
I think it stands as the ultimate microcosm of South Indian Vaishnavism. Just think about what it manages to hold together in one place. It archives the political history of major dynasties like the Pallavas and Vijayanagar. It embodies the specific philosophical school of Vishishtadvaita through its rituals. It houses 5 distinct major avatars of Vishnu, covering a huge range of divine functions. And perhaps most remarkably, it preserves incredibly specific mythological details, like that arrow scar, which embodies a core teaching about Krishna's role and vow. It's like a dense, multi-layered library, historical, theological, philosophical, all built in stone and still vibrantly alive. Absolutely essential for understanding how Hinduism evolves and sustains itself. #outro.
Wow. This deep dive really showed us that the Sri Parthasarathi temple is so much more than just a place to visit. We looked at its roots, the name change from Thiruvattanine to Triplicane telling its own story. We saw its scriptural authority confirmed in the Brahmanda Purana. We explored that absolutely unique feature, the arrow scar on Parthasarathi, making a profound statement.
Yeah, that's unforgettable.
And we traced its influence right up to a modern giant like Swami Vivekananda.
The big takeaway, I think, for you, the learner, is just the sheer power of integration this temple demonstrates. It's a masterclass in holding complexity together. 5 different Vishnu forms, the very specific history of Krishna's non-fighting role, all meticulously preserved and interwoven.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Given how this single place functions as such a rich archive blending history, philosophy, multiple divine forms, specific legends, how should we, professionally, approach sites like this? Are they just static monuments recording the past? Or should we see them as dynamic, multi-layered theological archives? Places that are constantly informing, reshaping, validating spiritual practice even today, demanding our ongoing engagement as scholars and observers.
It really pushes us to look deeper, doesn't it? The real story is in that synthesis, the family grouping, the 5 figures linked to the tank, the Ramanuja connection. Those integrated details tell the full, complex narrative of faith and history, constantly interacting.
Absolutely. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring that incredible synthesis wherever you find it.
Om Namo Narayanaaya नमो